Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a horror film from Germany, German language English subs, released in the year 2010, directed by Dennis Gansel, and this film is called We Are the Night. So We Are the Night is about a group of very attractive female vampires. They go around Berlin at night time, they're going to nightclubs, they're dancing, they're meeting men, they have very fancy cars, living a very lavish lifestyle, and they're also feeding off the human population without the human population noticing what's going on. And so one night, the group is about to become one more in number when they come across the main character who is in trouble with the law. She's got no self-confidence, she's very distant from her mother, she's just got no one to turn to. So she's actually turned into a vampire during an encounter in the nightclub by one of the vampires, and now she has to come to terms with her new identity. She doesn't like this, she feels as though she's cursed, whereas the others think that it is a privilege, it's something that they're blessed with, and she is really struggling with this. So she actually gets a liking to a detective who is investigating some crimes caused by these vampires, and that bond actually threatens to destroy the family dynamic that these vampires had. And so betrayal actually becomes apparent within this group, which causes their lives to go down a very drastic turn. And what that drastic turn is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on We Are the Night. I was very, very excited for this film for the simple fact that Dennis Gansel was the director. Now, Dennis Gansel directed a film in 2008 called The Wave. I thought The Wave was one of the most absorbing, fascinating films that I've seen in a very long time. I regarded that as a masterpiece because it is something that society really needs to learn from, is that since Adolf Hitler came into power, where he blindsided the people and he was doing things that the people weren't really aware of, that was emulated in The Wave, in a classroom. And this teacher was actually using this as a way to open the kids' eyes, but unfortunately things go really bad in The Wave, and things basically backfire. And I thought that was just a really, really riveting experience. And so creating a film that is so good, sometimes that can be a curse for a director, because the future films that this director makes will always be compared to that one special experience. And so that was what I was kind of dreading coming into We Are the Night. This is a straight out horror film, it's very different, but I thought, will this actually match The Wave? And will I actually love this movie as much as I really want to? I was very excited to see it. I love vampire films, I love European horror films, and combining that with Dennis Gansel, I thought, yes, I'm onto a real winner. But unfortunately, at the end of the movie, I was really disappointed. Now, I'm not going to go as far to say that this is a bad film. It's far from a bad film, but I could be mistaken for thinking it was a bad film because it's nowhere near as good as The Wave. And there are problems that I have in this film that I'll go into a little bit later, but what I liked most about this movie was that Dennis Gansel is very, very respectful to the vampire mythology. This is not a movie like Twilight, where they've watered down the mythology so it can appeal to teenagers. It makes a mockery out of, genuine vampire fans. And so this movie, on the trailer, it's been compared to Twilight, and you might be mistaken for thinking that this is going to be another Twilight experience, but it's not. It's a very vicious and a very dark film, and it's a movie about belonging as well. But what I liked is that it follows the same laws. These aren't vampires that sparkle in the sunlight. These are vampires who actually catch fire in the sunlight. These are vampires who are very seductive, very, very attractive, and they always maintain for eternity that strong, youthful presence, that very, very seductive presence, and that's something you get from a female vampire. And so Dennis Gansel has actually stayed true to the mythology of the vampire, and that's something I really, really appreciated. I thought the mythology of the vampire was intensified through the visuals. The visuals are very vivid colouring and actually gives you a surreal world. This is the world of nightlife, and so it's got very techno-y music, and so it's a very European feel that the movie has, and it just absorbs you through the screen. And I thought the way the camera was used was phenomenal. This is an indication of how good this director is, and you've got very well choreographed action set pieces as well as some horror set pieces that involve a lot of blood. And so everything really ticks itself in the right boxes, but unfortunately the biggest problem to We Are the Night is that there is not enough attention to the details within these characters. And so because there's not as much detail as is the case with The Wave, the character relationships don't really work. I didn't really get an insight into this family dynamic within the vampires because the chemistry wasn't there. I didn't feel like they loved each other. I just felt like they were there for the simple fact that they shared something in common. Basically, they were vampires. But that is trying to give you that sort of camaraderie within these people, that it's basically them who are going through something that the rest of the world aren't. And so it's strength and unity. But unfortunately that message just doesn't work because the vampire sort of characters, as far as human quality is concerned, as far as viewer relatability is concerned, was non-existent. And then you've also got the problem with the main character, her relationship with this detective played by Max Riemal, who is a very, very good actor. He was recently off a film called The Berlin Syndrome, which he delivers an absolutely knockout performance. In this movie it was very empty and it was very rushed as well, and so the director is trying to cut corners. I think he was more interested in actually making a very visually arresting film as opposed to making a movie that has solid characters. So the characters don't really evolve into anything that actually makes you feel as though you know them. So it's basically, you know them just as much at the end as you did at the start. And so there's no real development within what's actually going on with these people. It's just basically development in the story. And the story is these vampires, they seem to have everything, and then all of a sudden they lose something because of indecisiveness and kind of insecurities within their group dynamic. And so, as I said, it's a very beautiful film to look at. You've got beautiful women to look at. There's themes of lesbianism in there as well. And so this is everything you actually understand from vampires. But considering that The Wave was such a brilliant experience with brilliant characters, I just wanted a lot more from We Are the Night. But if you go into it not knowing who the director is, then chances are you're going to really enjoy it, because it is a very entertaining film, and it's far from a bad film. But for me, I just tricked myself into believing it was a bad movie because of the fact The Wave is such a classic. And so unfortunately, this is the curse of a great director, in that he makes a film that is below par as far as I'm concerned, but it's still coming recommended. I'm going to give the We Are the Night 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.